If you are interested in the business world, interested in starting something, you probably heard this before, where you can create a business that you love and that you barely have to work and that you could be on the beach somewhere. Well, my name is Huang. I'm an occupational therapist and certified hand therapist, and I'm here to share what my perspective is on creating that business, both a clinic one and an online program. And what I want to talk to you today about, can we normalize working? That there's absolutely nothing wrong with working. I've been seeing a lot of like, uh, you know, start this side hustle where you barely have to work and start a business so you barely have to work and that you can work from anywhere in the world. I can tell you right now, I just did that. I worked from anywhere in the world, and it's not all that it's cracked up to be. So I want to talk to you today about like normalizing working as a therapist. And the thing is that, I've heard it before, and I think that you may have heard it as well if you are looking to start your own business. And the whole point of starting your own business is that you can create certain freedoms for yourself. And one of the freedoms that we're looking to create is a freedom of time. And yes, you can, as a business owner, create freedom of time. But everyone talks about like all the freedom of time from a positive standpoint. You have freedom to work from anywhere. So you don't have to be locked down to a certain place. You can work on the beach. You can work whenever you want. You have so much quote unquote flexibility. And all of that is true. I'm not telling you that it's not true. I am in a situation where I need more time because my parents are getting older. My in laws are older. They have health issues. It's not even my kids. If you have young kids, you're wanting the freedom of time to go pick them up, go drop them off, go do things with them. Um, there's a freedom of time of like, I don't want to wake up in the morning. But as therapists, like really think about who you're serving, right? As a therapist, I'm an occupational therapist. And I believe that I speak to other therapists, like we are considered service providers. Imagine going to a restaurant, they're a service provider. Imagine going to a restaurant for dinner and they're closed. Oh, sorry, they want to have dinner too, right? The reason why I bring it up is because I want to talk about normalizing working, because I don't think there's absolutely nothing wrong with working. I was just off for a month's time. Now I'm grateful that I had that time. I'm grateful that I was able to build the kind of business. It's taken me 10 years to build a business where I could leave from for a month's time and not be worried about it. Like I check my emails occasionally? I did, because when you have a small business, you never can have your eyes off of it. The positives, you know, all the upsides have a downside to them. And I think it's unrealistic to think that everything is good. Oh, like you can be off and doing your own thing all the time. No, there is still a lot of work involved to get you to that space, where you can be off. It's taken me 10 years to get to a space where I am able to leave for a month's time. I am able to step away from my clinic and not have to treat for a whole month, right? There's been times in my career where I've stepped away from treating for almost like a year, where I'm not having to constantly treat all the time. But as therapists, like we're service providers, and we have a job and we can build our career. We have people to help, and there's different types of people that you can help. There's the actual clients or patients that come in because they have a health issue, they can't move, they can't do something, right? The other side of it is, as a therapist, you can build a different type of business where you can be more online, where you're helping either other therapists like I've done, or you can create a program that helps other people who have pain, like physical pain, and you're creating a program for them so you can help them do their therapy in a different way, right? Instead of the coming into a clinic setting. There's space for all of that, but can we normalize working? Because for me to take off the amount of time that I took off, I had to freaking work before I left. So let me break it down. I create a lot of content both for my clinic side and my program side. Before I left, I had to create double, if not triple, the amount of content so my staff could work on it before, while I was gone, right? So I had to work on it before I left. It's not like you leave for a month and you don't do anything. You actually have to work beforehand to get to that space. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. Um, I think that it's important to normalize working as therapists and not thinking that there's no work involved. It's just different work. So whether you're treating patients from 7 to 4, like those are my hours. My clinic opens from 7 to 4, and twice a week we open from 11 to 6. And I have the staggered hours because when I first started my clinic, those are the hours that I wanted to work. So if you start your business, you can open your hours whenever you want. If you don't want to wake up early, you don't have to. You can, open your clinic hours at 9. Here's the thing is that if you have a clientele, a patient population that needs to be seen early, you're going to miss out on those opportunities to be able to help them. If you're okay with missing it, you're okay with missing it. And the reason why I bring it up is because yes, we're working, but our patients who we serve are working as well. And it's very hypocritical to think, oh, well, they can just come during their working hours because those are my working hours. And yes, you can do it. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. But for me, my idea of it was like, let me make sure that I'm available when most people are also available. And where I work, my 7 o'clocks are always full. My 7 and 8 o'clocks are always full because people want to do their therapy before going to work. Actually, those hours are more coveted than my late hours, right? So if you're running a brick and mortar clinic, you have to really think about um, you know, you have to be available for when your customers, when your patients are able to come. Otherwise, you don't have a business. For my online program, I teach at night. I teach at night because I'm on the East Coast. I cater to people on the Central Coast, on the West Coast, and actually from around the world, right? I mean, I've taught at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I've had other people who tune in at 3 o'clock in the morning their time to sit in on the classes, right? Now, I could say, like, I don't want to work at 7 p.m. because I teach from 7 p.m. to essentially 8:30, 9 p.m. sometimes. Sometimes my time runs over, right? Teach at 9 p.m. And then I have to upload and download and do administrative things. So I don't get home until 10 p.m. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that, right? Because I've decided that I want to cater to certain people who want and need my services, want and need my expertise. And I had to pick a time that was going to work for a certain amount of people. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working. And I bring that up just because I just hear so many people unhappy because there's false expectations out there, and I believe that they're false. If you're studying to be a therapist and you want to be a therapist and you want to be a great therapist, dude, you have to clock the hours. You don't get great just because you got your degree. You get great because you continue to keep learning and you continue to keep developing your skills, right? And you've got to clock in those hours, whatever those hours may be. I did not love going to work at 7 a.m. in the morning. But all my jobs required me to get up early and be there by 7 a.m., right? And I put those 40 hours, 45 hours, in, and then you're doing the work, but then the learning has to be after, right? The learning has to be on your own time. So as a business owner, right? As a business owner, we have to work in our business, and then we have to, on our own time, learn business skills. That's the commitment you make in order to be the top of your field, the best in your field, and to open a business. Like, I was just talking to a patient, because he wanted recommendations for a surgeon because he needs a certain type of surgery. And, you know, I was like, well, who are you looking for? And he, without hesitation, he goes, I want the best surgeon. People want the best. And I think that if you're looking to develop your skills, you want to take a class, you want to do something, you want to buy a piece of equipment, don't you want to buy the best? You're not there saying, oh, let me get like the second best, you know? And we become the best because we continue to do the thing that we want to do over and over and over. That's called work. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. And then, when you build a business, you're going to need people to work in the business with you so you can grow it, right? I couldn't leave my therapy clinic and actually continue to make money if I didn't have people working in my business, right? Um, it's not just the front desk, it's not just the managers, it's the therapists. The therapists that we want to hire need or should, right? I don't like the word should, but want, they have to want to work, right? That movie where um, Jennifer Anderson tells her boyfriend, it's like, I just want you to want to do the dishes. And he was like, who the hell wants to do dishes? But if you want a clean house, you have to do the dishes, right? Because that's how you have a clean house, or a clean kitchen. If you want to have a certain lifestyle in your life as a therapist, there are steps that you have to take in order to have that lifestyle. And it's called work. Can we normalize just working beyond 40 hours? Can we normalize um, doing the actual therapy for our patients, and then using our additional time, because we have so much more time during the week to learn things, to develop our skills, to do personal development. And I'll tell you, oof, I didn't realize this going into business. There is so much personal development because you have to develop yourself first before you can go and develop other people. That was one of the biggest things that I had to wrap my head around when I started business and I started hiring people. And we're always having to do some form or fashion of personal development in order to, work with other people in the way we want to work, help patients in the way we want to be able to help them. When you have a business, hire people and keep them around. First of all, I want to attract the right people to come into my business. I'm a big fan of creating a culture of accountability, and a culture of learning. Because if you don't want to learn, how are you going to be at the top of your field? If you don't want to learn, how do you expect to reach your goals? When I hire a therapist, I always ask, what's your goal? What is it that you want to do? And then if they're like, I want to become a certified hand therapist, okay, what are the steps to become a certified hand therapist? Or they'll say, oh, well, I just want to be the best at what I do. Okay, so great. How do you think that you can be the best at what you do? Right. Um, and I normalize that in my clinic, and I do it for like every position. It's not even just my therapist, you know. Um, and I personally don't think there's anything wrong with it. If you want to be really good at what you do, you take the necessary steps. And you know what? That not only builds your confidence, it builds your self-esteem, and it builds your career. It builds your career, and it will give you on the other side of that work that you do give you the freedoms that you're looking for, which is the freedom of time, give you the freedom of money, meaning that you have opportunities to make more money, and it'll give you the fulfillment, right? It'll give you the fulfillment. I think people aren't meant to work, and people are meant to do hard things. And if you're doing something and you think it's too hard, um, one, you need to figure out what it is that you're um, not doing well, right? So I always look at myself like, because the way I see is if I look inward, if I look at what I'm doing, I have the ability to change it. So I'll be less frustrated. If I'm blaming everyone else around me, I become more frustrated because I can't change those people. I can't make them do anything. So it makes me more frustrated. So I'd rather do things to make my life easier and to make me work in a way that's less frustrating. So I always look at what I'm doing. I'm like, if I'm not good at something, how do I get better at it? Do I need to learn from someone? Do I need to buy a course? Do I need to attend an event? Do I just need to practice more? Right? I look at myself and I look at that. I do I look at that as work? I do, to a certain extent, think that it is work because it makes my actual work better, right? So for example, as I'm growing my business, um, I wanted to, be able to create better content, right? I wanted to make sure from an editing standpoint that I understood certain things. From a marketing standpoint, I understood certain things. I buy the courses, I read the books, I spend time listening to people who do better than I do, so I continue learning. Do I see that as work? I actually don't see that as work. I see that as, it's funny enough, in my free time. And then the actual work is me creating a video, me talking to my staff, me sitting down, jotting notes down of the things that I want to talk about, the different videos that I want to create. I see that as work because if you're in business, you're going to be working on certain things that are inside your business, and it's not necessarily treating patients, but it's still work. Can we normalize that? Can we say that it's okay to work? I put in a shit ton of hours, and I actually don't believe when there's people out there who say, I only work 4 hours. They're on such bullshit. I don't actually believe it. I also think that there was a certain, if they are now, there was a certain amount of time before where they were working a ton of hours and they were working a ton of days in order to get to a time where now they don't have to work as much, because what they're doing is they're being able to bring in the revenue in order to then take that revenue and hire other people to do the work, right? Um, but when you first getting started, like, dude, it's okay to do the work. It's okay to clock those hours. It's okay to, um, you know, work all the time and, really get better at what you're doing. And I think that also when you do that and when you have people working for you, and when you can show people the quality of your work and the value that you have in your work, I think that that speaks volumes versus just telling them to do something. I don't tell my staff to value learning. I don't tell my staff to prioritize making, developing their skills at whatever their positions are. I show them because I'm constantly working on doing it myself. And then I just ask them questions based off of what they're trying to do, because I really do believe for you to feel really confident in your career, to feel really happy and fulfilled in your career, you have to do hard things that make you get better. It's the only way to find that fulfillment, because if you're just doing easy stuff and you're never getting challenged, you're bored. you're bored, and you might want that for like 2 seconds, but like a lifetime of boredom really means a lifetime of unhappiness. It's my perspective. And I think it's just that word work, or maybe that concept that people are now villainizing nowadays, that there's, you know, because people don't care. People don't have to care. You have to care. That's the only person that matters. That if you're doing something valuable and you're doing something that gives you fulfillment, um, then normalize that's okay. Like, I perfectly happy being at work. I'm perfectly happy being back at work, because I think hopefully that what I'm doing over a period of time, over a long period of time, it's going to be worth it, and it's helping somebody. It's helping somebody. Even if it's helping nobody, it's helping me. I'm talking it through. I can watch this video later. My kids can watch this video later, and see that there's absolutely nothing wrong with working. And it's the thing that gives us everything that we want on the other side of it. More time, more money, more flexibility. Everything is on the other side of the hard work that we, have to do. And if you don't like what you're doing, change it or get better. Change it or get better. So I think sometimes we don't like what we're doing because we're not that good yet. But sometimes it's not our calling, and we're just trying to push it. But that's internal work. That's personal development work. If you're in business for yourself, normalize working. There's absolutely nothing wrong with it. I would love to hear your perspective. Leave me a comment below and let me know um, what you think of this, but also let me know, like, what are you tired of? Like, what about work is like making you tired if you're working for yourself, really. Let me know. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, I'll talk to you soon.